Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. So you're gonna laugh at this. This is about fifth time lucky on this video. It should really take me about an hour to get it filmed, hour to get it edited. It's taken me the best part of 7 to get this one sorted because of microphone issues. Tried multiple different microphones. This one I'm finally giving up on. This is the lapel mic that I usually wear. So we now have an on the top of camera mic which I've managed to hunt down. Hopefully you can still hear me pretty clearly. I will only find out in editing in a minute, so fingers crossed that this isn't going to be the 8th hour that I do this for. What we're going to do today, as always, is answer your questions. So, if you haven't asked any questions and you have anything on your mind, make sure you use the link in the email that this came in. That's going to be very, very helpful to you. If you have questions, if you have concerns, if you have any queries about training, nutrition, the actual classes, anything you see on social media, anything you've read previously, any diets you've done previously, make sure you ask me. Use the resource that you have available to you. The better education you get, the better you are going to get at delivering the right actions, both nutritionally and physically inside the classes, and therefore we'll have the outcome that is desired of you. So, with that being said, we haven't got many questions today, some of you being a bit shy, but I will start right at the top. Hi Leah, if looking to burn fat, would you recommend a fasted cycle at a slow pace before then doing a fasted session before work? My commute is a cycle to work, so I wanted to see if you thought it may be beneficial to do this fasted first thing in the morning. Many thanks. So, I personally am a massive advocate of fasted cardio, not necessarily because of the scientific data behind it. Now, there is no conclusive data to say whether fasted cardio is more or less effective than non-fasted cardio. However, the world is not a laboratory, it's real life, and I do believe there are very, very many benefits to fasted cardio. First and foremost, if you are doing fasted cardio, there's a pretty good chance that you're going to bed earlier. When you're going to bed earlier, your sleep is better, you're recovering better, you're building more muscle, you're less stressed, your gut is working better, hormonally you're in a much better place. So the action of having to get up early to do some exercise, some purposeful exercise, has a knock-on effect to your bedtime and your general sleep patterns, which is hugely beneficial to fat loss. So if we were to look at it in the real world, does fasted cardio burn more fat? Yes, not because of the cardio, but because of the actions that you take around that. Secondly, fasted cardio, despite not burning any more calories during, nor burning more calories from fat during, because that's usually what the science tests, it does increase hormone sensitive lipase. Now that is an enzyme that helps to break down fat tissue to be used as fuel. So although you're not doing any more minute for minute, hour for hour while you're actually taking part in fasted cardio, over time you create more of this enzyme which helps to break down body fat long term, which is very, very beneficial. So again, it's a broader picture in the real world as opposed to the action there and then at that moment. What you'll find is that when you do fasted cardio, you're waking your body up earlier in the day. This means by the time you get to work, your brain is fired up, your body is fired up, you're gonna become more productive, you're gonna get more done earlier in the day, you're gonna get that promotion sooner. It has a huge knock-on effect. So I'm a huge advocate of fasted exercise first thing in the morning. I believe it is when, just because of the greater picture and the greater effect, I believe it is when it is optimal to exercise. Now, that being said, what you've suggested here is doing a fasted cardio bout immediately followed by fasted weight training. This I don't believe is a good idea. Now obviously if this is the way you're structured, if it's your cycle to work, that's unavoidable, you need to go to work, so that's great, but make that the fasted part. What I would love you to do after you've done your fasted cardio is to take in some protein at the very least. So 25 grams of protein in a shake will be enough to prevent any further muscle tissue breakdown, because what we want to do when we're trying to get a transformation is maximize the amount of fat burned, the amount of calories burned, but we also want to maximize the amount of muscle built, because that is then going to have a carryover to how much fat you burn while you are resting, while you are sleeping, while you're sitting on the sofa, while you're walking around. Okay, so we optimize the amount of muscle built whilst giving the body enough food to perform optimally, to perform right, to be strong, perform in your workouts, to recover well. But what we don't want to do is cost muscle. And if you are doing fasted cardio immediately followed by fasted weight training, you're going to cost your body muscle, which we don't want to do. So after you've done your steady state, your slow cycle to work, have 25 grams of protein. Then you do your weight training session, which has a much greater demand for muscle fuel. And then after the weight training, you have another 25 to 50 grams of protein with about 50 to 100 grams of carbohydrates immediately post-workout. If you can do that, you will find that your body is going to turn into a fat-burning furnace, and you are going to optimize the recovery of your muscle, the amount of muscle you build and how well you perform, which is going to have a much greater knock-on effect to your long-term transformation. So fasted cardio is great for more reasons in the real world than it is in a laboratory. So do your fasted cardio on the way to work, have a protein shake, 25 grams, then do your weight training workout, have 50 grams to 100 grams of carbohydrates and 25 to 50 grams of protein post-workout there, and you should be good. Next up, hi Elliot, in your opinion, can taking creatine be beneficial for increasing strength and explosiveness? Would you recommend to do a few weeks on, then a few weeks off as part of a program? So first half of that question, is it beneficial for increasing strength and explosiveness? Yes. Creatine is extremely good at improving strength, endurance, and explosiveness. What it does essentially is it gives your body the extras it needs to prevent depletion of phosphate molecules which are used during muscular contraction. So the kind of main substance used during muscular contractions is adenosine triphosphate. Tri meaning 3, phosphate. What happens when you start to deplete that is it turns into adenosine diphosphate, i.e. we lose a phosphate molecule. What we do with creatine is we keep the body saturated with enough of those that it can steal them back and replenish those fuel stores very, very quickly. So therefore it's going to help you train harder for longer, you're going to be stronger, you're going to perform better. Not only that, but for you females out there, it can help to prevent osteoporosis, degenerative bone issues. It's also been shown recently to be protective to the brain, which is obviously very beneficial to all of us. So creatine has a whole host of health benefits. If you are taking it, I would recommend taking about 5 grams per day. On non-training days, take it first thing in the morning. On training days, take it post-workout, and that's where uptake is going to be best on both occasions. You don't need to do the kind of loading phases that a lot of people talk about. You don't need to load up with, say, 20 grams for X amount of days and then drop that down to 5. Just stick at 5 grams per day. And do you need to cycle on and off? Not necessarily. However, if every, say, 10 to 12 weeks you want to, taking a couple of weeks off can't do any harm. Okay, not a problem. The only contraindications to that, if you have any underlying kidney or liver issues, you may want to check with your doctor. You will also need to get very, very well hydrated, because it's going to pull a lot of fluid into the muscle cells. You can feel like you're holding water. It's not fat, so be prepared for this. First few weeks, you're probably going to hold more water than normal, but don't worry, it's not fat. Don't go crazy. Drink lots of water, help your body filter everything and give it what it needs, and you should be absolutely fine. So creatine monohydrate, 5 grams per day, morning on non-training days, post-training on workout days. You don't need to cycle on and off it. You don't necessarily need to take a break, but you can, and remember to check with your doctor before you take any type of supplements. Next up, and final question, we only got 3 this time, so make sure you hit me up with more questions. Let's get some proper entertainment out of this. Hi Elliot, the other day you mentioned it was important to eat carbs and protein after a weight session, but does that dietary requirement, or are the dietary requirements different after running? What do you suggest after a run? It very much depends on the type of run. So if we are doing your average, say, recreational 5 to 10K, the energy demand on carbohydrates certainly isn't that high. When we do anaerobic style exercise, i.e. weight training or intense, high intensity training, interval training, the kind of things we do in the class, our demand for glucose is extremely high because we are using mostly carbohydrates while we train. If we're doing lower pace, steadier state cardio style workout, we're burning a combination of carbohydrates and stored fats. So the amount of carbohydrate depletion is much, much lower. Therefore, you don't need more carbs after you do something like a run or a cycle or a swim, etc. So if we were doing an intense weight training session, we're looking at 45 minutes to an hour. For most males, you'd want to put in between 50 and 100 grams of carbs post-workout. That's what I find is pretty good for the majority of males, especially if they're lean. And that's when the body's really going to suck that up and use it well to refuel the muscle stores. Females, I would say for most of you, let's say between 50 and 75 grams of carbohydrates post-workout would be very, very beneficial to you. Again, providing you've trained really, really hard and you know you have that intensity. If you're a little bit dubious about whether you can deliver the intensity, then go 25 to 50 grams, err on the side of caution just a little bit. However, if you're doing more of a steady state style refuel, you're going to want to add in, let's say 25 to 50 grams, dependent on the length of run. You don't need that much, but 25 to 50 grams in a post-run or post-cardio meal should be enough. The priority is going to be protein. So again, make sure you're taking in a protein-rich meal, not just the carbs, because we want to prevent muscle tissue breakdown. And again, as we've spoken about with cardio in the past, cardio is about efficiency. It's about breaking muscle tissue down to be as light as possible, but having just enough strength and performance to be able to hold you up for whatever distance it is you're covering. So yes, potentially you will get lean, but you'll also slow down your metabolism. You'll make it harder to stay lean. You're not necessarily going to look great when you're lean. You're going to look quite flat and wiry. You'll have no shape. So it's important that we create a demand for muscle to remain, that we fuel the muscle to remain as well. So if we're doing these runs, always make sure that you're strength training alongside it. It's going to improve the run times themselves. It's going to improve your general strength, your ability to withstand injury and the kind of wears and tears of running, but it's also going to make sure you feel and look great constantly. Yes, the energy system symptoms are going to be slightly different, so the energy demand post-workout is going to be different. 25 to 50 grams of carbs after your average run, 50 to 100 grams of carbs after your average weight training session should suffice, and always prioritizing a nice protein-rich meal or shake post-workout as well, because that's going to help the muscles to repair. Okay, really quick questions there, wasn't much to answer, so again, please use the link that was in the email. Click there, ask me whatever questions you want, and I will cover them in another one of these. What I usually do is wait until we have at least 5 questions for me to be able to stand and answer these. Obviously, because we've only had 3 today, it took a bit of time, there was a delay, plus all of the mic problems, but please help me help you, in the words of Tom Cruise. Jerry Maguire, right? I think so. If you ask me questions, I'm going to be able to answer them. It's much easier for both of us if you tell me what you need to know, rather than me trying to make assumptions and you not being that interested in it. Make sense? Let's have this deal. You ask me the questions, I'll answer the questions. Don't be shy. Anything you need to cover, I am happy to try and cover. Even subjects that you may feel a little bit uncomfortable. Remember, everyone is anonymous when we're doing this now, so you're not going to be named, you're not going to be shamed, but it could be something that many people are thinking about. No one's asking, so be that guy or be that girl. Ask the questions and I'll give you the answers. Hopefully you've got a little bit of value out of this. Till the next time, see you later.